All right, over to the NFC West. Obviously, our favorite division because go Niners. I'll go ahead and open this one up to you first, and then I'll give my take. Obviously, we have a couple of differences, but no surprise at the top. Both of us have the Niners winning the division. And of course, all these picks are based off of health. So I think that's the main reason we have our team at the top. But I'll let you go ahead and give your take on this division.
Yeah, easily. Well, I wouldn't say easily. There's a lot of talent around the NFL now, but it's still up there as the best division in football. My fandom played a part in this, but also the fact that the 49ers are just talented head to toe. Quarterback position, the depth there has greatly improved. And we saw that in the preseason, that both of our quarterbacks are capable of making plays, which is phenomenal. But then, the improvements on the offensive line with Trent Williams and Alex Max, whom I saw in that finale, just mauling dudes on defense, opened up some gaping holes for Mostert to run through. Mostert had, I think, 3 runs of 10 yards or more in the limited play that he had. And that's a result of scheme and that offensive line. Saw Trent Brown downfield about 8 yards laying a block on a dude. And it was phenomenal. I love seeing that. So
I know exactly which play you're talking about.
Yeah.
Him and Kittle both blew out that left side of that line. Kittle had a nice block too on the same exact play, and then the back just busted through the hole, and it was a gaping hole. Yeah,
with Mostert just boom, gone. And that's the kind of thing we were expecting from Trent Brown when they signed him last year. They gave him a big contract this offseason. Now we go and get Alex Mack at center, who has proven to be a great center in the league. He's already familiar with Shanahan's system from his time in Atlanta. And hopefully that'll bring some health continuity there, because we had Richburg last year, who we brought in and signed, who is now retired, but he was unhealthy throughout his tenure with us. So health is huge in this decision as well. Right now, the 49ers are healthy head to toe. They've got Jalen Hurd coming back at receiver. They've got Ayuk, Debo. And this is really the best receiving core that the 49ers have had in years that I can remember as a fan. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with us, too, that this is the best receiving core that the 49ers have had in quite a long time, which just Debo and Ayuk alone. And then you toss in Kittle at tight end, catching balls. Jalen Hurd looked really good in the finale. His health is an issue. And then we all know what Bosa and D Ford and these guys are capable of. And then the depth of our defensive line has always, I wouldn't say always, but the last few years has been a big strength of ours, head to toe. I mean, we're 8 defensive linemen deep. I think our 5th, 6th, and 7th D linemen are better than some teams' starting D linemen. We got Reed. Then there's Icbw, who we just brought in as a free agent, who played really well as well. You combine those guys with guys like D Ford and Bosa, and it's going to be a nightmare for offensive lines. Our secondary still scares me a little bit. The 49ers secondary still scares me a little bit, but they did get some young rookies who played lights out in the preseason. Lenore played well. And then Hufanga, the safety, also played really well. So bringing those guys in, maybe they won't start immediately, but I definitely know that they're capable of being big role players early on in their careers for the 49ers. Then my second place team there is the Rams. I mean, they're just a good team head to toe. They're balanced. They're very well balanced. They bring in Stafford, who is a definite upgrade at quarterback, but I'm not so sure he pushes them over the hump like everyone thinks that he's going to. Stafford's had the opportunity to play with some good talent early on in his career at receiver. I mean, he had Megatron early on in his career. They may not have had the defense that the Rams had, but let's just be honest. I mean, Stafford's always put up average to good numbers, but never great numbers. So I think with them bringing in Stafford, they are still a playoff team. They're a good team. I don't think that he's going to make them much better than everyone thinks. He can't move the pocket. He can't run.
Yeah.
He's going to have to sit back in the pocket and throw the ball. And the league is not really like that anymore. Unless you're Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers can even move a little bit. But unless you're those guys, teams these days are really looking for those quarterbacks who can move the pocket. They can get out of the tackle box and really see the field and get guys open. So I've got them as my second place team. Their defense is phenomenal. Aaron Donald's right up there in my conversation for defensive player of the year this year. Then we go to the bottom of the division where I've got Seattle and Arizona. I have three teams in this division as playoff teams. 49ers win the division, Rams and Seahawks as my wild card teams. I like the Seahawks because of their quarterback and the experience they have playing together. DK's been with them now for a season. He played lights out. Tyler Lockett is a great player. He's a great receiver. They're getting back to their ground and pound this preseason. From what I saw, they're going to be running the ball a lot, and that's really what when Seattle is playing good defense and running the ball really well, like what we were talking about with Pittsburgh earlier. Play good defense, run the ball really well, don't put a lot on the quarterback. That's when they're at their best. So I think Seattle is going to make the playoffs. They'll probably have a similar record to the Rams. And then Arizona, I think they regress this year. Kyler Murray is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's a great fantasy quarterback, but not a great pro quarterback, in my opinion. They do have Hopkins, but outside of Hopkins on offense, I mean, I don't really know who they have that stands out to me. They've got a couple of players like Edmonds and they just signed AJ Green, but we don't know what we're going to get out of AJ Green. No one knows what we're going to get out of AJ Green. So, and then their defense is mediocre, in my opinion. They're not good. They're not great, but they're not bad. They're average.
Yeah. I definitely agree with Arizona being at the bottom there. I do think they regress. Like you said, and that started last year. If you think about the way they started the season and how they finished, they started to take a step back last year. I think for me, the biggest story about Arizona and the biggest change for them is Larry Fitzgerald is not there anymore. He was the leader of that team in the locker room. He's Mr. Cardinal. Like I said, if you think about the Cardinals, he's the guy you think about if you really think about, that was their time in Arizona anyway. So, and he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to the Hall of Fame at the first opportunity. So they did, bring in a guy, J.J. Watt, who's a proven leader and has been a proven leader in a different locker room. So I think they have a guy that can step in, but he's new. So he's still going to be assimilating, to the team and the locker room, things like that. So I think that's going to be a big factor for them. But again, I agree with you. I think that Cliff Kingsbury and his offense, it didn't shock anybody like they expected it to, the air raid offense. With all of these teams now going to, pass-heavy offensive schemes and things like that, defenses are ready for it. Like, Kyler Murray isn't something that defenses haven't seen before. Like, you think about Mike Vick, if it was back when Mike Vick played, then he'd be, one of those guys that you just can't figure out. But the fact that we now have Lamar Jackson, we have Deshaun Watson, we had Colin Kaepernick, we got Josh Allen and players like that can move, throw the ball, and really do things with both their arm and their legs. Kyler Murray is not that surprise player that sneaks up on defenses anymore. So I agree with you. He's a fantasy stud, and he's going to continue to be, which, hey, more power to you because I might have him on my team. So, hey, I'll take it. I think Arizona obviously is the team that's at the bottom here. I don't think they have a chance to win this division. I think the other three teams do have a chance. Again, I'm going with San Francisco based off of health. If they are healthy, I think they're the best team. I think that they have the best coach. Pete Carroll's a hell of a coach. Sean McVay's a hell of a coach. but I think that they have the best coach when it comes to play calling. They're the dynamic between the front office and the head coach. I mean, they are in lockstep, so they have the same vision and everything. So I think that puts San Francisco above the other two teams. I am not a big fan of Matt Stafford. Never have been. I don't see what all the hoopla is about. He's got a big arm. He's got a lot of talent, thrown for a lot of yards, but a lot of those yards are garbage yards because his team was getting blown out. So you mentioned earlier he had Megatron for a good portion of his career, and I think they had maybe 1 or 2 winning seasons that whole time. So granted, that's not all on him. Their defenses in Detroit were not that good. They have a great defense, an elite defense in LA. So I do think that that's enough to carry them to the playoffs. But I'm going to go ahead and take Seattle second because I think Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll have squashed their issue for now. They're both professionals. That doesn't mean that they are going to get along forever and he'll be there after this year, but I think they've squashed their issues. They're professional enough to know what the task is at hand and focus on that and then deal with their other stuff after the season's over. I don't see I don't see the Rams even winning a playoff game. I think they make the playoffs, but I don't see them winning one just because I'm not a big believer in Matthew Stafford. I would take Russell Wilson over him 8 days a week. So that's really my take on this division. I think that the 49ers, again, if they stay healthy, I could see them winning 13, 14 games this year and really kind of separating themselves from the other two. On the other hand, if they have some injuries, I could see them down there at number 3 and possibly number 4 like last year, and then Seattle jumping up and taking that spot. So health is going to be a big determining factor in this division. This division to me is a lot like the AFC North. It's between those two teams as the most competitive and strongest division in the NFL. It's between those two divisions. And really, I think if we're healthy, we have the slight edge as far as the NFC West being stronger than the AFC North. But again, health is such a big concern, especially with COVID. So now that's another thing you got to factor in. The league has made it clear that they are not trying to postpone games or reschedule games or anything like that. And if you don't have players to fill a position, you're just going to have to play without those dudes. So I think that's going to be a factor, an unknown factor. You know, who knows whose quarterback misses a big game because they were in close contact with someone or something of that nature. So health is going to be a big factor, but if everything is, good and everyone's healthy and makes it through the season, I have the 49ers winning this division with 13 or 14 wins based off of the schedule they're going to play. And just their head coach is a phenomenal play caller. He's going to put whoever's quarterback, he's going to put them in a position to be successful. We've seen that when Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy, he pretty much all he does is win, right? Granted, they lost the Super Bowl, but he had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. It's not like they got blown out and weren't in the game or anything like that. A couple breaks here and there. The 49ers might have been celebrating the Super Bowl instead of the Chiefs. So, again, it all boils down to health, but I'm going with the Niners because I think they have the most complete team, top to bottom, offense and defense. And I trust their coach more than I trust the other teams.